Manga spoilers, by the way. After Kaido hits Luffy with a mean Thunder Bagua due to the intervention of CP0, we see Luffy absolutely finish as he transforms back from Gear 4 to his base form like a deflated balloon. As he crashes back into the ground, we see that the victor of the rooftop battle is Kaido, the King of Beasts. As Kaido is furious at the CP0 agent for getting in the way of his 1v1, he then smashes him into the skull dome, bringing the ceiling down as well. Kaido then transforms into his dragon form and comes down soon after, announcing the death of Straw Hat Luffy. As the Beast Pirates cheer on Kaido, we see Kid, Law, and the rest of the Straw Hats as they are in denial that Luffy could have died. As Kaido is a bit surprised being that the spirits of some haven't been broken, even with the tragic news he announced, we see Kaido fire a fire blast at Nami and the rest. But that's when the GOAT Marco steps in and saves them by blocking the blast. Marco tells everyone not to give up until the very end. Kaido then states that Onigashima will land on the flower capital of Wano without delay, and he won't be as soft as Orochi was, being that he only sees Wano as a giant weapon factory, so he doesn't care if they are women or children, saying that everyone will be his slave. As he goes on with this plan of his, he tells the samurai that they chose to oppose him and that facing his wrath now should come as no surprise, and gambling with your rights and dreams is what it means to lose in a war. Kaido then shouts, telling them to bring him Momonosuke, and that this war doesn't end until then. As the Beast Pirates attempt to end off Kid and Law while they're down, we see their crew quick to save them, as they announce to the rest to protect the captains. As chaos spreads throughout the castle, we see Momonosuke and Yamato outside Onigashima, still trying to keep it from dropping on the capital. Momonosuke asks what he can do against someone Luffy lost to. Yamato says that he can fight until his last breath, saying it's the way of the samurai, isn't it? Momonosuke says that even though it pains him to say this, but if Luffy's gone, surrendering to Kaido might be their best bet on staying alive in this war. But Yamato denies his idea, saying that she's not gonna let that happen, saying that everyone will just be slaves until the day they finally die from exhaustion, and that in the end, surrendering won't save anyone. Yamato continues on, saying all the daimyo that allowed Orochi to have his way went to their graves full of regret. Everything Wano has endured for the past 20 years was for the sake of this war. As it seems like Luffy has truly lost this fight, we then cut back to Luffy laying on the top of the skull dome as we see this drum-like heartbeat start up. As Zunisha recognizes this drum-like sound, he tells Momonosuke that he can hear it and that it takes him back. As we see Luffy's arm start to twitch, Momonosuke asks Zunisha what exactly he's talking about. Zunisha says that he can hear the drums of liberation, and that it's the first time in 800 years, saying without a doubt he's here. Momonosuke then asks Zunisha who he's referring to, and Zunisha answers him as he says that Joy Boy has returned, as we cut back to Luffy grinning with smoke coming out of his body, with his hair transforming. As we move on to the next chapter with Luffy asking himself how he's able to stand, being that he just lost against Kaido, but despite all that, he feels like he's having the time of his life. As the drums get louder and louder, we see Momonosuke tell Yamato that Zunisha said that Luffy is Joy Boy. We cut back to what's happening on the inside of the Skull Dome as we get the reactions from everyone all over the place questioning if that drum-like sound really is Luffy. As we cut to the Holy Land Mirijoa, where the 5 elders are updated on the situation in Wano, as they sacrifice one of their best agents of CP0 and enraged Kaido, they ask themselves if they really have their priorities straight. They then bring up the fact that no matter what era, the world government has always failed to acquire the Gum Gum fruit, even after 800 years of trying and attempts, saying it's almost like the fruit itself is evading them. Because after all, Zoans have a will of their own, and this one specifically carries the name of a god, revealing that the Gum Gum fruit is actually a mythical Zoan, the human fruit model Nika, as we see the silhouette of Nika in front of the moon. The elders begin to explain that the user of this fruit gains the properties of rubber in combat, and they're supposedly only limited by their imagination, putting smiles on faces far and wide as they are the embodiment of the warrior of liberation, sun god Nika. Awakening exponentially strengthens their rubbery body, giving them even more freedom than ever before, saying it's allegedly the most ridiculous power in the world. As we see Luffy illuminated by the moon, as he says that he feels like anything is possible right now, and that he can keep on fighting a bit longer. He then comments on how funny his heartbeat sounds right now. He then goes on saying that this is his peak and that this is Gear 5th. As Conqueror's Haki strikes through Onigashima, causing those of weak wills to faint, we see Kaido as well as everybody else in the Skull Dome questioning what the hell is happening on the roof. But that's when we see Luffy's giant hand grab Kaido and quickly pull him back onto the rooftop. As Luffy is completely trolling Kaido, spinning him around in circles, smashing him onto the dome, all cartoony-like, we see Kaido say that he's grateful that Luffy is alive as he quickly shoots a blast breath at him. As Luffy is laughing, he quickly notices this and gives off a cartoon-like shocked reaction before lifting the ground to block and deflect Kaido's attack. As a massive explosion goes off, we see Luffy fully in his Gear 5 form, still laughing his ass off. Kaido then apologizes about what happened before with the CP0 agent, saying that he didn't want to win like that. But Luffy tells him not to sweat it, declaring to him that they can finish off their fight properly now without any interruption. Kaido says that he thought Luffy would have been a goner after that attack. Luffy then says that he thought he was too, as he's bouncing around on his back without a care in the world. Kaido says that since Luffy is able to make his surroundings rubbery, it's safe to say that he awakened his Paramnesia Devil Fruit, but something feels off about the whole thing, being that a physical transformation like that is more of a typical Zoan Fruit awakening. And when Luffy isn't looking, Kaido tries to eat Luffy. As Luffy tries to break out of Kaido's mouth, Kaido then swallows him whole. But that's when we see Luffy attacking Kaido from the inside of his body, and then begins to inflate himself like a balloon, as well as inflating Kaido from the inside. As Kaido is now being lifted up to the sky, Yamato questions if this is some form of Kaido's. Kaido asks Luffy how he's able to do this, being that his body isn't supposed to be rubbery like Luffy's. But that's when we see Luffy grab Kaido's nose through his eyes before escaping completely through his mouth. Luffy then deflates himself, blasting himself into the clouds. While this is happening, we see both Kaido and Yamato shocked as Luffy comes out of the clouds as a huge giant ready to step on Kaido. Momonosuke and Yamato both are still questioning whether or not this is really Luffy putting Kaido on the ropes right now, with this new transformation and all. We then cut back to the fight with Kaido biting Luffy, but that's when Luffy grabs Kaido by his head and tail and begins to use him like a jump rope. But Kaido uses this to hit Luffy with a blast breath at point blank range. And as he fires one at Luffy, he gets sent off the island. Luffy then gets pretty pissed and starts running back to the island, in a very cartoon-like way, mind you. As he's now back face to face with the now hybrid form of Kaido, about to punch him, we see Kaido use 3 World Conquest Ragnarok, smashing Luffy's head straight through the Skull Dome. Everyone is shocked at this horrifying yet goofy sight of Luffy. Luffy then proceeds to squeeze his head out the roof. Kaido says that what Luffy is doing is like straight out of a picture book. He then adds on saying that he admits that Luffy put quite the show on, but he's still at the end of his rope, stating that he can't beat him. But Luffy responds to that, saying that he's far from done. But we start to see his transformation wear off as he starts to say that he's beat, completely doing a 180. Kaido questions what is Luffy before he starts to feel the tiredness himself of all the fights he's been since the start of the war before he's forced to take a knee. Luffy admits that he's about to croak, as this new form is taking a lot out of him. Kaido then reassures him, saying that he can rest easy and die, saying that tales will be told about how him and his crew fought in this war. But Luffy responds, saying that when you're dead, only your bones stick around. Yamato and Momonosuke see Luffy in his base form. Yamato says that he was completely unrecognizable with his hair and clothes being all white, but Momonosuke says that his voice is still fading. Luffy tells Kaido that they're not done yet as he calls out the names of his friends that are a part of Wano, like Kinemon and Pedro, before transforming back into Gear 5. As Kaido laughs, telling Luffy he's gonna kill himself by doing this, Luffy then asks Kaido if he really thinks something like death can scare him at this point. As we see that his heartbeat is getting louder, we see Kaido get behind Luffy as he swings his Saikai, but instead of it sending him flying, we see Luffy's head dented, taking the form of Kaido's Kanobo. As Luffy tries to run, saying that it hurts, we see Kaido swing it again, but this time it's right on Luffy. But as he smashes Luffy into the ground, we see Luffy bend the ground, causing him to be sent right up into the nearest mountain. Luffy then starts counting down from 3, and as he reaches 0, he launches himself straight into Kaido as he spins himself like a propeller, hitting Kaido with a barrage of fists. Kaido questions this pure white transformation as he says that Luffy is coated in armament and conqueror's haki, and he can influence anything around him with his ability, adding on to that saying he fights with such freedom and versatility that it's crazy and that he's never seen anything like this. But he then shouts saying that no one in this world is capable of taking him down, but that's when Luffy makes contact with Kaido's face with his fist coated in armament and conqueror's haki as he smacks Kaido down to the ground. Luffy then tells Kaido that he's having the time of his life right now, ending off the chapter. As we cut to the next chapter with Luffy asking Kaido what he should call the last move that he pulled on him, Kaido then asks Luffy who he really is. He then answers by saying his classic line that he's Monkey D. Luffy, the man who's going to surpass him and become the king of the pirates. As Kaido is glad that Luffy is still as confident as ever with that big mouth of his, Kaido says that he's lost a lot in this war, like his men, his castle, etc. But the same could be said about Luffy as well. But Luffy says that he's not through yet, and that he's gonna take back what Kaido stole no matter what. Kaido then begins to strike Luffy, but Luffy hits him back with a barrage of punches. Luffy then starts to cough due to the smoke. Kaido says for the fumes to reach up to the rooftop, the whole castle must have gone up in flames, meaning that Luffy's army is trapped in that inferno below, stating that they're gonna roast to death. But Luffy says that he left everything that's happening down there to his crew, and that the only thing he has to worry about right now is sending Kaido flying. Kaido tries to strike at Luffy again with a devastating gust, but Luffy manages to dodge it by extending his body over the attack. As we cut to what's happening in the castle with the flames and everything, we then cut to Yamato saying that it's up to Momonosuke to make strong enough clouds to hold up Onigashima, saying that this was always their only option, as Onigashima is about to fall, as we get this cold panel of Luffy in the air holding a lightning bolt above Kaido. As Kaido laughs about how ridiculous that is for Luffy to grab lightning, we see Luffy yell Gamu Gamu no Thunderbolt as he chucks it right at Kaido. But Kaido dodges the bolt in the nick of time and charges straight for Luffy, saying that he can keep playing around if he wants, but in the end, a strong devil fruit power isn't gonna conquer the seas. As he smacks Luffy around, Luffy tries to get a hit on him, but Kaido quickly stops him. Kaido refers back to Roger, saying how he had no devil fruit powers, but he still brought the world to heel. As he proceeds to smack Luffy down to the ground, but Luffy bounces back up due to his ability, Kaido says to him that only such hurdles can be overcome with haki, as he smacks Luffy into the sky with Death Destroyer Thunder Bagua. Luffy managed to grab Kaido before being shot into the clouds. As Kaido tries to get him to let go, he tells Luffy that he's given away his position in the sky as he changes back to his dragon form and uses Dragon Twister Demolition Breath to try and get him down from there. As Luffy's taking these hits, we see Kaido follow it up with a Blast Breath, but that's when he shouts Momo's name, telling him that he's finishing this fight for good, but Onigashima's in the way, so he tells him to move it, as we see a giant fist coated in haki. As Yamato questions if Luffy is prepared to punch through Onigashima, and Momo telling Luffy to hold on, we see a smirk on Luffy's face as he tells Momo that he believes in him. Momonosuke tells Luffy that for someone like him to move Onigashima out the way can't be done, but in that moment he thinks back to his family, remembering that they have faith in Momo, as they said that they know that he will find a way to revive the Kozuki clan in the future. And due to this, Momo starts to do something about it. As Luffy charges at Kaido, ready to attack him head on, we see Kaido say that he'll take this attack head on, but he also asks Luffy if he's heard about the hero of Wano, referring to Odin, that he burned to death 20 years ago, and that ever since then, Wano has been a lawless land, and that the people of Wano have been waiting all this time for someone like him to show up, as he transforms into his flaming drum dragon form. As Luffy's left hand is being burned, Kaido reassures him that it's okay for him to let go, saying that he won't run, because his right hand won't be able to hit him, as he claims that he's going to vaporize it before that happens. Luffy tells Kaido that he won't let that happen, as he tells Kaido that Hyogoro taught him how to use Ryo, as he states that he's going to knock Kaido to the bottom of hell, as both of their attacks make contact with their haki fiercely clashing with each other's. As they clash, Kaido says that he commends Luffy for coming this far, but he tells him that he'll never be able to change the world, as he's about to bite Luffy's fist. While Kaido bites Luffy's fist, he asks Luffy what kind of world does he wish to make. While this is happening, we see Momonosuke finally make flame clouds appear in order to carry and move Onigashima out of Luffy's way. As we then see Luffy answer Kaido's question in the most Luffy way possible, as he says that he wishes for a world where all of his friends can eat as much as they want. As he then manages to punch through Kaido's mouth, sending him flying straight into hell as he said he would. While falling through the ground, Kaido then has a flashback to him talking to his first mate, King, as he says that he knows who Joy Boy is, and that he's the man who will be able to beat him one day. King then responds to him that if that's the case, then he doesn't think Joy Boy will ever appear, having faith in his captain being the strongest. As we cut back to the present, where we see Momonosuke manage to safely bring Onigashima down, as well as him and Luffy being relieved and exhausted, as the declared victor of the rooftop battle has been revised, with the victor being none other than Straw Hat Luffy. Hey guys, DarkheroJosh here, and that was the legendary battle between the King of Beasts, Kaido, and the 5th Emperor, now officially one of the 4 Yonkos after that whole war, Straw Hat Luffy. Now, by the time this video gets posted, the Gear 5 episode for One Piece should be like right around the corner, like in like 2 days close. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video in spite of that, whether you're watching it before or after the episode drops. Although I don't mention it a lot, and this happens to be my first One Piece video on the channel, this anime happens to be my favorite of all time. So for you One Piece fans that happen to be watching, let me know if I should keep making these One Piece type videos. But finally, with all that out the way, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and comment down below what other One Piece related videos I should make next. And without further ado, I hope you guys have a great day, and see ya.